let me start by saying welcome to the lead. Good
well,
to
thank
have
you
you
very much.
So lawyers for former President Trump say he's unable to post the $450 million bond in the New York fraud case. Conservative radio host Mark Levin pitched a novel form of crowdfunding to help Trump. He posed this question on X. It says, quote, why are there no Republican multi-billionaires offering to lend President Trump the funds to file his appeal in the outrageous case in New York State? Are none of them liquid enough to help or join with others to help? This is an outrage. Are you outraged?
Well, I'm not a billionaire, so I guess I'm not outraged.
No, but are you outraged that no billionaires have stepped up to help Donald Trump this way?
I'm not particularly outraged that no billionaires have stepped up to help President Trump on this. I think there's amongst Republicans, I think there's outrage at the number of cases that have been brought. I think there's outrage, frankly, in the public when you look at how many cases are we up to now? Five, six. I mean, it seems like
six if you include Jean Carroll.
A little bit of piling on, and I think there's some outrage with Republicans and independents and other Americans about what looks to be a bit of a witch hunt. But no, I'm not sure I'm outraged that billionaires aren't stepping up to help.
So, Kate, Trump has dismantled and rebuilt the Republican National Committee. He's gutted the leadership, much of the staff. He's handpicked the new chair, Michael Whatley, former Republican chair of North Carolina, I believe. And the co-chair is, of course, his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. They're going to run the RNC. Yesterday, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney wrote on X, quote, is it just a coincidence that Donald Trump took over the RNC, fired most of its Republican staff, and installed his daughter-in-law as co-chair? At the same time, he's become desperate for money and can't post bond. Donors better beware. And yet, we should also know Democrats do have a substantial fundraising advantage as of right now.
Yeah, they do. And the newly installed leadership of the RNC is talking openly about raising money for Donald Trump's defense. I mean, sort of to Mike's point, I mean, this is an argument that they make to Republican voters. This is something that with the Republican base is apparently compelling. The idea that Donald Trump is, somehow Donald Trump being in legal trouble indicates that he's a fighter for them. This is not an argument that is persuasive to general election voters. And I think if you're the Trump campaign and you're looking at the financial advantage that the Biden campaign has right now, which is quite significant, and you're seeing that some of this money is going to go to Trump's legal defense fund, I mean, that's not an effective use of dollars if you're trying to win a presidential campaign. So, again, just once again, a reminder that for Donald Trump, this entire effort of running for president is really about him, his own personal needs, and not about the people that he's claiming to want to get elected to represent.
You can understand how a donor might balk at wanting to give money to the RNC when, I mean, normally obviously the RNC would use that money for all sorts of campaigns theoretically and party building enterprises.
Yes, no. I mean, look, this is this happens sooner than it usually does, but this is the normal course of business. Mitt Romney, who I don't think anyone is going to say is part of the Trump base or a Trump Republican, when he was the nominee in 2012, he brought in his people to work with the RNC. Now that it generally happens closer to conventions because we don't have a presidential nominee.
Right, but he wasn't in court.
He wasn't raising money for his legal defense.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not talking about the taking over. I'm talking about people might be concerned.
People, I would hear what you're having to say, but they've brought in adults like Sean Carencross to help run the organization. Chris LaCivita, who's running the Trump campaign in a very professional way, much more professional, frankly, than in 2016. These folks understand what the importance is of the RNC. It is message, it is ground troops, and it is pulling together all of the units of their communications tools to get out there.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Look, the money to go to the legal defense, I highly doubt that is where RNC money is going to go. That is what we have super PACs for, right?
I just want to play this sound. This is what Peter Navarro said before he reported to prison to start his 4-month jail sentence for contempt of Congress.
I would gather strength from this. Donald John Trump is the nominee for the Republican presidential campaign.
Now, he's in jail or prison now, but he's not the first person associated with Trump to go to prison. Paul Manafort, who spent close to 2 years of a 7.5-year sentence in prison for bank and tax fraud and illegal foreign lobbying before he was pardoned by Trump. CNN is reporting that Trump's team is in discussions with him to help with the RNC convention?
I mean, you know, we talk about people are tired of Trump. They're tired. They're like fatigued. And you got him bringing back in people who were central to his 2016 campaign. Paul Manafort is somebody who was, I believe, charged. You can correct me if that's not right, but I believe charged with passing information to the Russians. I mean, this is somebody who has been unapologetically clear that Donald Trump's political interest is first and foremost his primary interest, and he's not looking to put together a campaign that's going to be about serving the American people.
But Kate,
so,
even if that were all that being true, let me just posit it. If the election were held today, Donald Trump would win more than 300 electoral votes.
but we don't actually know that. We know that the polling
polls suggest that he would win Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada.
We know that polling shows it's going to be a very close race. I'm not sure that bringing somebody back into the fold who has contributed to putting Russia's interests ahead of the United States is really the winning message that the Trump campaign wants to be putting out
Just
there.
quickly, let's just go to the polls that have already been cast. If the people were tired of Donald Trump, he wouldn't have won election after election after election.
The primaries.
In their Republican primaries.
Well, the Republican base is clearly not tired of
So
Donald
the
Trump.
people are
I
tired
certainly
of Donald
wouldn't.
Trump.
I wouldn't. The Republican base, absolutely not tired of Donald Trump.
You're
I do
exempting
not
them.
dispute
Both
that.
of you stick around. I got more questions for you.